Alex, do you think if this fee was agreed earlier in the window, that these personal terms wouldn't have been as much of an issue as it is 2 days before the start of the Premier League season?
Potentially, because I think Harry Kane, I believe, and there's no evidence to back this up apart from how long Harry Kane has been at the club. But I do believe that Harry Kane wants Tottenham to get a transfer fee for him. I do think that, and I think that was his thinking originally. It was almost doing us a favour potentially, and trying to leave on good terms. I think they learnt a lot from trying to get to Man City a couple of years ago. They showed their hand very, very early, and obviously they got completely played by Levy. So I think they're adopting a different strategy, and this was their strategy to get him out. But I'm not surprised that it seems like he's not going to go through with it. I'm just not too surprised. When it came through with Ornstein, because when you see the Ornstein bomber, you think this is it, it's done. But there was the one thing of, usually you'd think it's medical's done, or he's on his way for a medical. Usually you see that with it, but it's still, he hasn't decided, and that's when I thought it's not going to happen. But yeah, I do think if it happened early in the window, then it was probably much more likely to happen. And that it's not fair. It's not fair on Postecoglou. It's not fair on a lot of people. It's not fair on maybe its teammates as well. This has happened, and yeah.
I have to say, I hope Steven Spielberg is looking at the rights for the Kane saga for a movie. It started off where he doesn't know if he's going to go, then he's open to a move, then the big club come in, then the owner doesn't want to get involved and goes on a holiday, then the bid does happen, and then there's the Sixth Sense twist. Does Kane actually want to go in the end? And then also this other team comes involved. There is a movie in here. The 100%. Kane saga coming to a cinema near you.
Diego, I think you should sell it to Netflix.
Mate, listen, we'll do a Tottenham tour. We are Tottenham TV collaborate, and we'll pitch it to Netflix. We just have to get the actors in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just need a shaver. I know exactly who can play Daniel Levy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're lucky I love you, Tim. You're lucky I love you.
But talk to me, Brian. Obviously, it's been a crazy day today. Ornstein broke this morning saying that a fee has been agreed. Since then, all the journalists have come out saying deals agreed, deals agreed, deals agreed. And now everyone flipped 180 and said, actually, it's increasingly likely Harry Kane's going to stay at Tottenham. So how are you feeling this is going to end up unfolding?
We even Spursy our own transfers, don't we? It's just we can't do anything about it. This is such a strange transfer saga. I mean, I've said all along I want him to stay. I thought he was going to go. I want him to stay. It's looking increasingly likely he's going to stay, isn't it? And obviously there's been the rumours recently that another club has come in and said, next season we'll give you more money, blah, 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 which is an ad. You've got to think that that's a Premier League team, don't you? You've got to think, or it's a Real Madrid or whatever.
I mean, Christian Falk said that it's a choice of PSG, Man United and Chelsea.
Well, let's hope he goes to either PSG or Manchester United then if he goes anywhere. I couldn't stand the thought of him going to Chelsea. I could not stand it. I can't see him signing a new contract, though. As much as I'd love him to, I just can't see it.
How are you holding up?
I had some stuff to do at my uni today, so I was kind of.
That can wait for another day. Come on.
Of course it can. No, I was shocked when I saw the Ornstein report on various. I had friends sending it to me and going, "Oh my god, it's really happening!" And I was like, "No, you're joking." And then I saw Ornstein and Fab and Moretto and everyone confirming it, and I was like, "Well, it's time." And my family group chat was in tatters, and then I hear he's umming and ahhing. He's not convinced, but he's not convinced yet. And it's like, I can see because I think he's expecting a child soon, or his wife just gave birth, or he's having another kid soon. From what I heard,
I think his wife is pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously that might play a part. I understand Harry Kane. If this deal had been completed a week ago, I don't think he'd be umming and ahhing. But because it's so close to the Premier League, the deadline he set for Saturday, and they've accepted it on a Thursday morning, it's like, I think this is a classic thing of we've accepted the deal, and if Harry Kane And if Harry Kane says no, then the blame isn't on the hierarchy, because they said you're free to go, and it was down to Harry Kane, but they haven't given him much time to make his decision. You know, Bayern have said yes, Tottenham have said yes, and now it's down to him, and we'll find out probably by either the end of this evening or tomorrow morning whether or not he's made his decision.
Do you think maybe the fact that he's also had a chance, like if this deal was agreed before, you know, the manager appointment and the pre-season, all that kind of stuff, do you think maybe the fact as well that he's had a chance to meet Postecoglou, have a pre-season with the squad, you know, see the signings like Maddison and Van de Ven, and maybe that's lessened his desperation as well to leave, because maybe he feels like this season, not to say we could be challenging for a title, maybe he feels like, you know, we're not going to be going the same direction we've been going in the last 4 years, and maybe that can contribute.
I think that's definitely played an element. I think Postecoglou's done really well so far. I thought it was a underwhelming to whelming appointment, to be perfectly honest, but he hasn't really put a foot wrong, I think, in terms of this pre-season, and it hasn't all gone really his way this pre-season whatsoever. And yeah, I think that has helped a bit, playing attacking football. But if I was Harry Kane, you just think, he's only got maybe 5-6 years left of his career. Let's be honest. Into our football career, at least. You never know what happens with NFL and stuff like that. But you know, how many full storms have we had? How many full storms has he had with Tottenham when it seemed like we're going in the right direction? Just the last 4 years have just been absolutely terrible. And so well, yes, you might think that, okay, what if he does really well? At the end of the day, he's putting potentially a significant time in his career in the hands of Postecoglou, someone who, you know, he doesn't know extremely well. You know, if Poch was maybe brought back or something, then maybe that's another matter. But I don't know. I just don't. I'm not sure really.
Brian, do you see if Kane does reject a move to Bayern, do you see that as like an act of defiance against the hierarchy?
In a way, yes. But again, it could be he does want to stay and see what he can do with Tottenham. Listen, I think if he stays, if we get him to sign a new contract, I don't think it's anything to do with the hierarchy. I think it's to do with he's bought into Ange Ball. And I think he might have bought into Ange because this manager, he seems to be saying that I've really appreciated him. I'm enjoying what he's doing, and all the things you want to hear, as opposed to when it was Nuno. I think it's down to Ange to try and convince him, if he does stay, to sign a contract. I just can't see it, though. I just can't see it. Is it an act of defiance? I think it is. But that would be, everyone would say, yeah, Brian, you would think that it's Levy. But I think it is. I think it is. He's always said, if you match my ambitions, I stay for as long as possible. He had a chance to move. Obviously, Man City wouldn't stump up the cash. That was Man City's problem. But if he doesn't sign, if he commits 1 year for Tottenham, could win a trophy, and then for the sake of the year, doesn't have to just pick Bayern. He has the choice of any club he wants.
Yeah, do you envisage a situation where he does a complete flip reversal and signs the contract from now in a year's time?
Yeah, that's the of the three scenarios we've got, Ben. Going to Bayern, staying at Spurs and going for free, or staying at Spurs and signing a contract. That last one is at the bottom of my list. As much as I want it to be the top, I think it's the bottom of the list.
Mm. What does Spurs need to do to convince him? And can Spurs do anything at this stage to convince him? See, Ben, that's a great question. He's managed to convince him for 9 years, hasn't he? Yeah.
He's managed to convince him and got him to sign that 6-year contract. Does he have one last huge play? Does Ange, like I said? We will have to wait and see, but I don't see it.
It looks as though there's been a turn of events. How are you feeling? You still convinced he's leaving?
Yeah, I'm still convinced he's leaving. But the thing, I mean, I don't know why fans really want a player that isn't committed for the future of the club. Like for one season, and after that he's going to move for a free. I don't really accept it. I'm actually really positive even if Kane is not there. Against Barcelona, that second team, okay, forget the defense. The defense is something we need to fix. To go over there and absolutely dominate the game with a second string of players shows a really good amount of how the team is right now. And especially, you're brought in a man. Let's be really honest. We're bringing in a manager to work for a project for 3 to 4 years, and I do believe he can. I'm really positive that Ange, the way he's playing, can do much better than what Poch did for us if the right backing is given to him, and that can be done. Whether Daniel Levy backs him or not. Look, I want Enoch out and Daniel Levy out. That's something that let's keep that aside. But for me, I want a player that's going to stay for a long term, puts the pen on paper and says, I'm going to be here, because that's not fair enough for the other players who signed a long term deal to work with a player. Because if every game, a win or loss, it's going to be Harry Kane, whether he's going to sign the contract or not. And I don't want a player to go for a free. And as much as we can say this club is rich enough for them to use the money and spend on other players, I do get it. But 120 million is 120 million, man. It's not a small amount. That money can be invested in good players. With the money we have right now and adding that in this transfer window, we can do a lot of wonders. There's two things he needs to do. If you want to commit to this club, put the pen on paper, and that's why I feel this fight is going on within each another. I think so. Daniel Levy's been speaking with Kane. Okay, if you want to stay here, put the pen on paper. I've agreed a deal with Bayern, you leave.
In terms of Harry Kane and the move to Bayern, do you still think there's a chance he turns around and says yes to Bayern and ends up there before the end of the window?
I think there is a chance. Listen, there is a chance this deal will go through. Obviously, this is over the last, I think, 24, 48 hours, we knew this final bid was coming in, or they were going to work towards this bid, and we were in this situation. And before the bid was accepted, there was absolutely no indication that Harry Kane said, "Oh, I don't know, I might stay." It's all coming out now. I don't know if this is media talk. I don't know if it's spin. I think he's having a. Obviously, this has come 2 days before or 3 days before we start, but a day before the season. It's got to be on his mind. I mean, guys, your opinion. I heard you speak about it earlier, but what are your guys' thoughts? Is he staying?
I personally think he's definitely staying. Definitely.
I think he looks like, yeah, I'm going to say it looks like he's staying to me.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll say he's going to Bayern just so we have some contrast. To make it interesting.
That text I sent you last night is playing out minute to minute.
Mate, when you sent me that last night, I mean, you and me were talking yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, this is just the most... I don't think I've ever seen a more frustrating transfer in world football. Obviously, it's a lot closer to home for us, or we're Spurs fans. But this saga has just gone back and forth. Will he, won't he? Yes, he will. Will they offer come in? Daniel Levy will go on a holiday. This one won't talk. This one won't talk. This one... It's looking more and more likely what you said, isn't it?
Brian,
or what you text me, yeah.
If Harry Kane is to reject this Bayern bid, what would your opinions on how the hierarchy have dealt with this negotiation be? How would you analyse it?
Listen, one thing I will say. No, I will say that at the end. I will say that at the end as always. I've always said I'll give credit where credit's due. When it comes to getting the best deal for players leaving the club, he is unrivaled. He's done it. I mean, I still marvel that this guy got 18 million for Kevin Wimmer from Stoke. I don't know how the man managed that one. He always does seem to get the best deal, but again, it's timing, isn't it? It's got Dimitar Berbatov leaving last bit of the window. Gareth Bale, all right, we'd spent the money. This had gone on, and of course, Bayern hadn't done the deal and hadn't offered the money, but it's the same thing again with the timing of this. If he stays, well, you look at it actually, Sim, they've accepted a bid. It wasn't like Man City where they've just turned it down. They have accepted the bid. But he does. If Harry Kane is wearing a Spurs shirt against Brentford, the board do deserve some credit for the way they played it at keeping him. But
they've accepted the bid, so that's not what the board wanted. Essentially, even if he does end up staying.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, you've got to look at it. Daniel Levy would rather 103 million pound or whatever it is than zero, and so would any chairman. So would any chairman. So from what you hear, I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard it as well, that apparently it's Levy now that the deal's offered and Harry Kane is still in. Apparently Levy's trying to say, listen, you wanted the deal, now go, and try and not force him out. I don't want to use that word, but so you throw that into the mix as well. It's a tough one for me. But like I said, if he does stay at Spurs and is in the starting lineup against Brentford, the board have done a good job in this deal.
So you think? I think it's more like unintentional. I think unintentionally the board have played a blinder here, basically.
Do you know what? My God, you're correcting me on being Levy. Bloody hell! Cheers, Ben. Thank you. I'll go back to where I said. Yeah, it's all Levy's fault. It's all Levy's fault. Cheers, Ben.
Yeah, it's a struggle today, isn't it?
Yeah, tell me about it. After the news came in this morning, I was literally just sitting on the couch here. I didn't want to speak to anyone, didn't want to talk, didn't want to do any videos. I was feeling so depressed, but now I feel back to my usual self now.
It's my expectation since the start of this transfer window that we were going to see Harry leaving. So it's the sort of, for me, was a matter of time. But listen, it's good news today. If it's true that he's having second thoughts, it can only be a positive thing. So again, I've just got my fingers crossed that it's true. I've just got this vision of Harry sitting there thinking about it, with sort of Daniel Levy as a little Satan on his shoulder with a pitchfork, sort of, saying 100 million, you've got to go, and the ghost of Bill Nick on his other shoulder, trying to convince him to stay. But it's going to be a struggle, guys. I think the overriding factor here is what are his expectations? What are Harry Kane's expectations? And his expectation, if he's going to go to Bayern Munich, is that he's going to expect to win the Champions League. That's what he's going to want. I don't think the Bundesliga is going to be on the forefront of his ambitions. It's going to be whether Champions League football and the potential of winning the Champions League is going to be possible. So that's his decision. I think if he was certain, for example, that Tottenham were going to win the FA Cup this season, I think he would probably stay, under the circumstances. But it's going to be difficult, I think, still trying to convince him to stay, even at this late stage.
Well,
you talk about Harry Kane having second thoughts this time around. Do you think there's a possibility that he could have second thoughts about not signing that contract?
Not signing another Tottenham contract?
Correct, yeah.
If he's here for another year and he can see genuinely that the club is backing the manager and the manager's philosophy is productive, then he may well sign a new contract. But I think that would be good news for all of us, not just in respect of Harry Kane signing the contract. It would be a case of that we would probably have seen some success. So we would have made top four. We would be pushing to be competitive in the Premier League. So that would be great news. But I'm not sure if that is a mountain which is surmountable in a year, in a season. I think that would be a mini miracle, really, from Ange. I'm not saying that it's beyond us. I think we have made some good signings, but a few of those signings are going to be a bit of a mystery until they put on a pair of boots and play some football. So we don't know if Van de Ven is going to be a good centre back in the Premier League, for example. We don't know if Porro and Udogie are going to be able to perform the inverted wing backs in the way that Ange wants them to perform that, and whether we're going to be a good enough defensive unit to hold back, the tide that's going to be hitting us. But everything is up in the air, and if Harry is going to stay another season, then that means that he can see some sort of success. He can see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, which would be some good news. So fingers crossed.